Chase Liaki with the Blue Futon. Another movie I did not think I was going to watch, but I'm like, buy ticket is for Nanny. Should this nanny be watching your kids? Let's find out. So Nanny, what's it about? We are following Aisha, an undocumented immigrant from Africa. She's working her butt off in New York City as a nanny to get enough money to bring her son from Africa to the States so she can have a better life in America. But there's issues with the family. Issues with these interesting supernatural forces with spiders and mermaids. What's she going to do with her love life? The overall new community she's trying to be in. Will all this happen? And what will the ending of this movie be? Will she have a happy ending? So, with this movie, I thought the best part of this movie was the lore. I was very fascinated by these mermaid and spider lores of West Africa. As a person who's only been to Algeria and Niger, Africa, and I wasn't only for visits, no, I've been there for months at a time. That's kind of the only lore I know. I do have, local Nigerian, African paintings and stuff like that. Talking to the locals and doing all that stuff. Like, all the stuff on that wall. Like, I got, a bunch of these things, carvings from Africa. They're pretty cool. Why they make them is because actually all the locals in Niger make all this stuff. And it's kind of weird, interesting, because they would make all this stuff so they actually didn't go into, horrible, ISIS terrorist groups. There's a lot of terror in that part of the world. And, they're just making this for who? Because who's going to visit Niger, the poorest country in the world? But, we there, as my job, we flooded the market with a bunch of money. So it was a good and positive thing because putting that much money in a market can kind of destabilize some of it. But relationships were extremely strong with, us wanting to buy their art and actually just giving them money to survive. Because a lot of them came in for bread, which is 17 cents a slice. And trust me, we weren't supposed to buy a lot of bread and give it out, but I did. Let me put this back real quick. Oh, here's another little one. Yeah, see? Anyway, me now just it's not just movies in this room, but as a movie as a whole, I love the lore and what it was trying to do. And the supernatural elements weren't forceful. You could actually, they were very believable and down-to-earth style of elements like that. Yes, if you read the synopsis of the thing, it talks about, the family, white privilege family, wokeism and stuff like that. I don't know if woke was the right word. It was in the Sundance description that the husband was woke. I have to disagree about woke. I don't know if different definitions, everything like that. First off, about privilege. I didn't know there's apartments in New York that you take your own personal elevator to your apartment. Didn't know that. I guess I don't have that privilege in my life. But, yeah. The whole privilege thing is very interesting. I understand what they're trying to go for with that thing. And I understand they keep saying white privilege. But there's different privileges levels for every person in the world. Because I don't think, Will Smith's kids and then, an Arkansas family have the same privilege, even though the races will be completely different. But that's a totally different topic of a story, what they're trying to go for. Overall, though, I did enjoy the experience I was watching on screen. The acting's good, the story's interesting, and it just kept me entertained of what we were trying to go with, and her giving the money to Africa and her aunt so her son could come over. Sorry, I had a little burp. But as my biggest issue with this movie is the ending. Rushed is not the right word. It felt, maybe rushed is the right word, but it just felt incomplete in my opinion because something bad's happening with a voicemail changing when this is happening, what Rose, the little girl, is saying. So, okay, something is happening. It has something to do with this earth element. And you're like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? And, of course, the final conclusion happens. But then the movie ends 5 minutes later with her trying to do something with that earth element, but then finding out she's, and then finding out and then she's happy all of a sudden. I don't know if maybe people, take grief differently, but I think that was just very rushed of something happening, then you trying to do something to yourself, and then a huge life changer happens, and all that shows in the last 5 to 7 minutes of the movie. So that part felt rushed of what we were trying to go with understanding her life story, her son's life story, and this family's life story with Rose and all. I understand the backdrop of everything they're trying to do, which it was a fine backdrop. I enjoyed, the scenery and everything like that. There are some cookie cutter characters. Like I said, the husband barely shows up in this movie, and he's just kind of there to be there. And he's a sleazeball. an Asian yoga person comes in, she tries to advance on Aisha and everything like that, and then the mother's barely in the picture because she's working, and then there's some dialogue where you just kind of like snicker at. You're like, oh, she's like, oh, this is a man's world, and they expect us to go out for drinks. I mean, I don't know, just who I work with in general. It's very diverse in males, females, race, and everything like that. And I guess I've never put anyone in that situation. So I mean, everyone's different on their own. Everyone's gonna have different experiences throughout the world. Also, there's also algorithms in there, like watching the Q&A about, the American dream and how it could be hard for other people. Yeah, it's very hard, but there is also dialogue in this movie about, where'd you come from? Oh, I came from, is it Senegal in Africa? And she's like, oh, is it good and bad? And she's like, oh, yeah, there's some good parts and some bad parts. And one of the ladies like, I'm curious on the bad parts. So I understand this might be an algorithm of how hard it is to be a mother working in America and trying to pursue the American dream. But people still do it, and it's still happening today. So even though some people like say, oh, the American dream's hard, nothing in life is easy. And I mean, there's a reason why America has one of the most diverse populations in the world. And then when you go to like China, it's really only one type of population in China, and there's like billions of people there, while we have like 330 million, and it's very diverse. So you got to think about that, about looking at the world as a whole. How, like, people from Africa aren't really going to China or Russia and stuff like that because they don't have the same opportunities as they do here. So, I mean, people need to see that bigger world aspect of, try to think what people have been living in, because we do have it really good in America when compared to other countries around the world, like half or 75%, maybe even 90% of the countries in Africa of, they're mining, they're child slavery, they're child warriors, or child soldiers, sorry, like that. And then, like, China is going into, like, Niger and mining for gold that's not even in their country. How do I know that? Because I had to deal with some contracts in that area. So, yeah, there's that about that. Soapbox over. Overall, Nanny, after reading the description, I was going in thinking it was going to be one thing, and it came out completely different on some level, so I have to applaud that because it wasn't a preachy movie, and I thank you for that, because when reading the synopsis I was expecting to be preached at, and I really wasn't. It was very subtle, made you think about, oh shit, there's really people in New York City that have their own apartments and they have their own personal elevators. That's cool. And FYI, if you are trying to come to America, you don't have to go to New York or California, the two most expensive places in the world. There's Florida, there's Texas. If you like snow, there's Midwest. Trust me, the cost of living is a lot cheaper there. So you don't have to do New York or California. I promise you, you don't have to. So Nanny will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futon, so he goes at 60%. So see the Critics' News scores gave this one. So Nanny, on Rotten Tomatoes, it says we have one review, and it is a rotten by Jeanette Abram, Black Girl Nerd. She gave it a 2 out of 5. So it's very interesting what she says, though. Nanny is technically exquisite in all of its elements and place for the audience to be captivated, but unfortunately the story fizzles and falls flat. That's very interesting because, like I was saying, the ending is where it does kind of fizzle and fall flat, where you're like, that's how we're ending it. It was just like, boom, done. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah, I'm giving it it's on the edge because I was entertained. I love the war and everything like that, but like seeing this 40%, I mean, I can't really fault that because some people might see it and be like, yeah, the ending just did not do it for me, and it just was a build-up that kind of went nowhere. But anyway, do you agree? I'm going to go with the 40 because there's only one critic. So we're going with the 40%, 60%. Chase Lee with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Oh, no, we think that was Blue Futon Utopia. You Blue Futonians. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. So the next one is Emergency, Duel, and You're Not Alone. You Won't See Me. Which one? But I won't lie. Emergency, I'm a little concerned with how preachy this movie's going to be.